In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a front caliper on a Toyota Camry located behind the front wheels. 21mm socket, we're going to remove the tire. So we're going to remove the caliper completely and reinstall differently. So I'm taking a 14mm socket or wrench, and I want to break this line free because we're going to swap it over, but it's easier to break it free, obviously, with it mounted. So just snug it just enough so it doesn't drip too much. I do have a catch basin right below, and you're going to want to do the same. And then I'm going to take a 17mm socket, and I'm going to undo the mounting bolt brackets to the knuckle. So there's two of them, 17mm socket or wrench. Take both bolts out. So now that that's ready to go, I like to get my caliper, a new one, ready to go on quickly before we disconnect the line and make a mess. So, two 14mm head bolts right here. So I'm going to use a socket and a 17mm wrench to hold the slider bolt. Take those out. And now I can take that caliper right up and out of the way. All I'm going to do is prep this for installation. No matter where you get your caliper, I want to make sure that I have silicone paste in there on that boot. So I will always take even a brand new one out and clean it or add extra silicone paste right inside that boot because it's all dry. And then slide my new slider in. You'll feel it, feel the difference before you put any extra caliper grease or silicone paste. You'll feel that it has a dry shake to it. And that's just, you know, it's a factory. This side has the extra little rubber boot seal on it, see? So I like to make sure that that gets some paste on it so it's not dry in there. In the angle of the slider here, we've got a little angle. Fill that up. And I want to make sure there's some inside the grooves of this boot. So I squeeze the boot, make sure it fills in those little grooves, and then I usually spin it in. And then I'll squeeze it, push all that air out. Sometimes I have to get a little screwdriver. But see how nice and flexible it is now because it's clean and not dry. Perfect. Now we'll put our tins on. Just add a little bit of the silicone paste or caliper grease on the bottom of the tins only. That just stops water from building up and causing rust. Now the tins, the high side is always going to be the back. I'm going to slide that in like this, click it down. Right there. Same to do, high side on the back, same on that side, flip it around. It's easy to put the spring light side in first. So that would be like the indented one. See how it's got a little indent on it? So put that side in first and then snap it down in. So now we're going to set up our caliper, the new one, get it ready for the line. Like I said, make sure that that minimal leakage all over the place, even if you have a catch basin. Okay, take my new banjo bolt, put a new washer on there, and get the second one lined up. Now we'll go to the car. I'll take that part off, put the new line in, and then we'll continue with the bracket. All right, so catch basin below, 14mm socket or wrench, and I'm going to spin that banjo bolt right out. Let's take the bolt right out. There we go. I'm going to take the caliper down, put that, let it drain in the basin. Now there's an extra washer stuck on the back, which is very common. Let's see if I can spin it for you. See that? You want to make sure that comes off. So I usually take the old bolt and just go like that. Throw that in the pan. Now we can take our new caliper. Let's take the new banjo bolt, slide it right through. Put the washer on. And let's rethread it. All by hand. Start it. Got it. Now let's get, looks like a 12mm socket or wrench, and we're going to tighten that up. See how that banjo bolt, the flex hose, goes right in that pre-drilled out hole? And there we go. So now we're going to take our caliper and a caliper hook and just hang it up, so there's no strain on that flexos. So now I have my caliper bracket bolts. I clean the threads, and I put just a dab of like medium strength thread locker on there. So we're just going to grab the bracket, line it up, put one of the bolts in by hand, start it, do the bottom one, 17 millimeter, and I'm going to grab that socket, and I'm just going to snug it because we're going to torque it in the end. Move that up out of the way. So now we're just going to pop our brake pads out. Just to be safe, we're going to hit the brake pads with brake clean in case any brake fluid hit them. That hasn't been soaking in it. Might have just hit it by accident. No big deal. And we know that the inner pad is always the pad with the indicator on it, right here. So we're going to install that first. Take the inner pad, set it down inside that slider, and the top will fall right in. Or we'll take the top and the bottom will slide right in. And we'll put the outer pad in. So what I like to do is see how you put the back side in first, and then let it just snap in the front. Now we're going to take our anti-rattle clips. You have those little holes on the top and on the bottom. You might have to hold on to the pads because they are spring-loaded, it's pushing out. By holding on to that now, I'm going to take my caliper, take that bracket off, and we'll slide the caliper over. There we go. Line that up. Now we have new sliding bolt hardware too. Came with the caliper. Use the new bolts. Starting by hand. And that's a 14 millimeter head, so socket or wrench. I'm going to snug them down. Now we're ready to torque. 17 millimeter socket, and bracket to knuckle bolts are 80 foot-pounds. Let's double check. Now 14 millimeter socket, and caliper to bracket is 20 foot-pounds. Now if that bolt starts to spin, that is a 17 millimeter wrench. Now we can open the bleeder screw, let it gravity bleed before we bleed the system. Take that little boot right off, and with an 8 millimeter wrench, we're going to open it. Let the brake fluid drip into the catch basin. So keeping an eye on it. It takes about a minute or two, sometimes a little longer, all depends, but you want to keep an eye and make sure no air bubbles are coming out. Looks good. Saw quite a few in the beginning. We'll close that up. Clean it off. And reapply that cap. Now I will take some brake clean, and I'm just going to clean that area. Now we'll check out the pedal, see how it feels, and go from there. Now we're clear to put the tire back on. Hand start your lug nuts. We'll just snug them up in a star pattern and then torque them to spec. .21 millimeter socket, and the torque is 76 foot-pounds. Double check. Now don't forget to check your master cylinder, top off your brake fluid to the manufacturer's specs. It should be on the cover or in the manual. See how the pedal feels? If it sinks down slowly at a stop, then you have air in the system. I recommend doing a complete brake bleed at that time. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.